Hey witches, if you are enjoying Waking Up the Witch, then you're definitely going to want to check out my magical shop, Moonbee's Wellness in Medford, Oregon. We have a curated collection of crystals, incense, sage, witchy books, tarot, oracle, and so much magic made locally here in the Rogue Valley. Whether you're just beginning your witchy path or you've been on this journey for quite a while, we have so many items to support where you are in your journey. And we ship anywhere in the US, so no need to be local. But Moonbees is more than just a shop. We are also a sacred space and supportive to your healing journey. I'm a Reiki master, and I also offer a lot of intuitive sessions, including past life readings and past life regression sessions. And all of this can be done virtually online, so I can help you no matter where you're at. Come visit us in Southern Oregon or follow Moonbees Wellness on Instagram and Moonbees_Medford on TikTok. And remember, magic's this way.
This episode of Waking Up the Witch is brought to you by Taylor Pickett Styles. I'm Taylor Pickett, and I am an intuitive hairstylist in Southern Oregon. I offer in-person services as well as online tutorials on how to care for your curly hair, how to properly shampoo your hair. If you're a hairstylist, I offer lots of education and one-on-one consulting on how to build your clientele and take care of your clients. If you're interested in any of these services, please reach out to me. There will be a link in the bio. I also offer organic hair care from Innocence Organic Beauty, and you can also buy that online through me, link in the bio, and also on my Instagram page, Taylor Pickett Styles. I also have a TikTok page if you're into just talking a little bit more deeply about things, going into deeper dives about hair care, self-love, and self-worth. My TikTok handle is Southern Oregon Curl. And don't forget, tame nothing, nourish everything. Enjoy this episode. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Greetings. So many different things in my head of what to say.
We never know how we're going to open this anymore.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. I'm excited to go for a little walk and get a little food.
Just another day making
another
more
day.
friends
So exciting.
all across the world. Can we go to
It's-
Canada?
I would love to go to Canada.
Okay.
We're getting all these Canadian friends now.
If you could give us some money. I'm just kidding. Throwback.
So funny. If you don't know, listen to last week's episode.
Yeah.
New inside joke.
I know you want people to like go back so they understand us, but sometimes I'm so cringed out by the beginning of our journey here.
You know, every time we give it like a little peek back, though, like when you and I,
It's not that bad.
it's not as bad as we feel like it's gonna be. Like even last week we listened to our little trailer, like, oh, we should probably do an updated trailer because we've evolved so much.
Fine.
And it's like, yeah, it's not such a bad start, and it's still like, even though we didn't really know what it was gonna be, it's still kind of.
It's crazy that
It's
I
on
was like a
point.
childless person at one
Oh
point.
yeah, we were like silly unhinged with a bottle of wine in my little weird half room and one
Sharing a
microphone.
microphone. Yeah, that's
Such a
fun.
different time. And
Yeah.
then, like, who are we gonna be in a year from now? We're gonna totally have, like, a legit studio probably
That's
somewhere,
the goal.
something. Yeah. We're dreaming it up right now.
Somebody that takes care of the editing and social stuff.
Yeah, we would love we're manifesting an amazing human to be like an assistant, but on trade
Mhm.
until we can make lots of money from Patreon and
Mhm.
things. And I feel like if we had
It's not
that,
that hard of a job. It's just we don't really
we
have
also
time. And
have
Kurt is
our own
over it.
businesses and our other shared business. We've put a lot on our plates and trying to juggle it all. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
But it's fucking fun and beautiful and exciting. And yeah, so we're just manifesting a beautiful human who's very aligned, who would like to help us with some of these admin-y things. Because right now I get to respond to emails like once a week. Um, and it's kind of an important part of this job, communicating. Now we're getting exactly what we wanted. We've talked it into the microphones. We've manifested it. Speaking of manifesting, this is probably coming out right around the time that we are going to be doing our monthly Patreon Zoom hang, our co-creation manifestation call that we do over on Patreon. One of the many magical things that we offer over there. So once a month, I think it's every second Tuesday, we hop on a call together for a little bit.
I need to write my letter today.
Oh yeah, we should.
Did you?
No,
Okay, we'll do
we
that
give
after.
ourselves homework that we
We'll make Misha do it too.
haven't completed yet, but we just kind of get together because we realized through this process, you've heard us talk about it before, talking into this mic about our dreams and the things that we want to call in for ourselves, but also for humanity as a whole. And shit starts to happen. Our voices are really powerful. And when we believe a lot of that is because people are listening. And so then you're holding that intention with us. So we thought, let's come together and we'll share our dreams and manifestations together and hold that vision and help create change in a beautiful, positive way for ourselves and the collective. So we do that once a month. One of the many things on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/wakingupthewitch.
Patreon.com/wakingupthewitch.
There's you can join as a free member too.
Yeah.
And we have a group chat for that. So we're chatting up over there. And then there's lots of monthly paid options with lots of incredible things. We really give so much over there. And there's also just like single purchase things. Like you could buy us a cup of coffee, or we can do like a special spell for you, or we can pull a card for you. There's lots of just like one-time support options as well. So we appreciate you just listening. That's a huge help. You can
Chatting.
also, for free, leave us a 5-star review, share with a friend, and tell people that you love Waking Up the Witch and that they should listen too. All of these are great ways to support us so that we can continue to keep showing up for this beautiful job we created for ourselves and bringing you these incredible, beautiful humans and their stories and journeys and wisdom into your ear holes.
Into your butthole.
Or however you listen to podcasts.
Yep.
Wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, we should just let you guys enjoy this other conversation because it's way better than what else is going to keep going.
We
back
need
and forth
food
here.
and maybe a martini. So enjoy our conversation with our guest.
Enjoy.
So if it feels good, feel free to close your eyes and just begin to connect with your body and the space that you're in. And we're going to take 3 deep grounding breaths. So breathe in and release. Another deep breath in. Exhaling. And this last one, the biggest breath you've had all day. Breathe in. And on the exhale, just releasing any tension or pressure, to dos, and fully arriving into this present moment with us. We're calling in our guides and ancestors and our higher selves to join us and helping to create a loving container for connection and inspiration and magic. And we trust that whatever is meant for the highest good of the collective will flow through this conversation today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hello. Could you please
Hi,
introduce yourself?
my name is Madison Murphy Barney, and I am a Shoshone and Hoopa two spirit sister, author, doula, partner, story driven strategist, public health nerd.
Whoa, so
Amazing.
much magic.
Yeah.
Could you please take us back to the beginning of Madison?
Yeah. I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota. My dad was fishing. It was April Fool's Day, 1994. And it's sort of relevant because I'm now a doula. I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck and via vacuum and was a dark blue
Wow.
hue. And so um, had, yeah. And so I'm lucky to still have a beating heart and be hanging out
Yeah.
on this side of the
Yes,
veil.
ma'am.
Yeah. Um, and then I had a bowl cut and a brother I really loved and just kind of kicked it for a
Oh,
couple
the
of years with,
90s.
yeah. And was really spent a lot of time with my grandmothers who we called the Mungus. And then things sort of changed and a lot of chaos happened. And there was my grandmothers all passed within a couple of years, and there was a
Mm,
divorce and some remarriage and four siblings born and a house fire, and just a lot went down in a
wow.
couple of years. And then I was let's see, and then I went to school, and my parents really just had no interest really in our schooling, but my older brother did have a lot of interest, so I just sort of, tracked myself to him, and I was like, "Alright, well, if he's gonna do that, then I'm gonna do that." And so I did, the high school thing and was, dated the quarterback and was on the homecoming court and, did the thing,
Wa
and then when I turned 18, I moved to Greece, and then I moved to Spain,
Wow.
and then to Azerbaijan, and then Malaysia, and then the Netherlands for a little bit, and then I went to Boston to get my master's degree and then moved to New York City. So, and then when it was becoming very evident that it was time for me to leave New York City, I was in a relationship that needed to end. And when I moved there, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna live here forever, but my native ass needs to be outside. And so I was just wanted to be
Yeah.
on the land. So kept getting all these signs to move to Vermont. And it didn't really
Mm,
make any sense because I don't have relatives there. I don't have tribal lands there. I just don't, it just was I didn't make any sense. But I was trying to get to a point in my life where I listened to signs before, as they were in a talking voice rather than a screaming voice.
mm,
And
Yeah.
so I moved to Vermont and I live there now and met my partner and got connected with a really dope two spirit ceremony group and they are of
mm,
Lakota origin, which is I am not Lakota, but was really raised on Lakota land because of the boarding school system that my grandmother was put into. So
mhm.
there's just all these synchronicities. And that's where I live
Wow.
now with my partner and our two goats on the side of a mountain.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. I guess I got way
So
past
I
growing up, but that's the whole
that's okay.
yeah.
I am interested in the traveling and how you ended up doing that and what you were doing in all of these other countries.
Yeah. So when I was in third grade, I kept forgetting my library books. And again, my siblings and I were sort of in charge of ourselves. And so there wasn't a lot of oversight. And so I guess I was just not paying attention. And anyway, I kept getting late books. And the librarian was like, okay, well, if you're going to keep doing this, then I'm just going to give you boring books. And she gave me an eyewitness book about Greece. And I was like, well, this isn't boring at all. I'm actually going to move to Greece when I turn 18. And it just like
Wow.
stuck. And it like I said it as it was the truest thing that like could have ever happened. And then it just became the truest thing. And it was just like one of those things where I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna move to Greece. So
Wow.
I did my first 2 years of undergrad there, and then I transferred to a school in Spain. And I got to do my whole undergrad education for like $6,000. Yeah, and traveled around a lot, backpacked,
What a
hitchhiked,
gift.
slept in train stations, did the thing, and would come home in the summers and do the 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. taxi driving shift and then the 30 p.m. to close waitressing shift. And that just like funded my travel for the rest of the year and paid for
Wow.
school and really worked out for me.
So you are an author of a book.
Hmm.
Can you tell us what your book is called and what it's about?
Yeah, the book is called Our Ancestors Want Us to Be Mushrooms. It's like these 8 key or like core teachings from mushrooms, from like symbiosis to creativity and unique gifts to like mystery and room for magic, and how if we like learn from mushrooms and start to behave in the way that they do, that we can return to the way that like to be in right relationship with ourselves and each other and the planet, and like return to ways of knowing that we live for so long and that like we desperately need in this
Mhm.
time. And I think so often we
Truly.
get really like freaked out about not knowing how to do what needs to be done to like survive the end of this version of the world and like get to the next one where we can all live well.
Mm.
And so it just felt like, well, actually there are these blueprints and there's like many species that have them and mushrooms are one of them. And so I was like, we know how to do this, we can do this. Let's do this. It's not this like unknowable thing. It's a very doable thing that we've done before and can do again.
How
It's
do we
so
do
beautiful.
that? It feels very much end of times. And so I'm sure a lot of people are grasping on to like any kind of answer to
Yeah, well, and I something I think a lot about and write a lot about and talk about in the book and other things I've written too is like that most of our ancestors have experienced the end of the world as they knew it and like birthed a
Mhm.
Mhm.
new one. And the way that they like stood at that threshold was through harnessing these gifts of like remembering that we are all intertwined and interwoven and symbiotic, and that we have a role in this ecosystem. It's I think so often there can be this thinking of like, oh, we just like, humans are a plague to the earth. And, like, yeah, when we act like one, we are, but like inherently we're not. Like we
Mm.
didn't involve as one and we don't have to act like one. And like
Right.
for almost all of our history till now, we like played a role in ecosystems that was like necessary and was like focused on tending to ourselves and each other and the planet. And so, and then, something else I talk about in the book too is like the importance of creativity. And I think so often in times like this, it can feel like it's like this excess thing or like a nice to have. But something I like think a lot about and talk a lot about is like one, I don't know about y'all's ancestors, but mine were like extra as hell. Like they had like really beautiful like beadwork and feathers and everything. And like that was just for like a 30-minute meeting. They were like all dressed up and like
Mhm.
they had ceremony and were dancing and creating again to like cross this threshold into a new world as the one they knew to be was ending. And so it's like we have to take creativity really seriously and these like unique gifts that have been handed down because like they are one of the main methods of our survival as a species and of our ancestor survival. And like we don't want to break that line of concentration of like handing down creativity, so like we have to take it seriously. So those are
Right.
the two areas that come to mind, but there's obviously more. I think it's just this like we know how to do this and we can return to it. And it can be much more simple than the like seemingly like when we focus on our own and like our own journey and also that of like the community around us, we can like create this tapestry of like across the globe of folks returning to these ways and returning to their. And like when I say returning to these ways, I'm not like, oh, let's give up everything that we've like progressed towards in like
Right.
modern life at all. It's more so like just like practices and like ways of relating to the earth and like sort of marrying what was and what is to be like what can
Yeah.
be. But it's not this like let's throw
Mhm.
it back and like live completely off the land or abandoned cities or
Mhm.
things like that. Like cities are great. A lot
Mhm.
of the things we have are really wonderful and we can like maintain them while also like surviving this threshold.
Yeah,
I
there's
love that.
like a more sustainable way to do all of it.
Right.
And I keep thinking a lot about like convenience is killing us and the planet. And it's something that is coming to me as you're saying that is just like letting things be slow. And like, if you are growing your own food, that takes time and care and patience. And if you have to go to the grocery store, like, that takes time, but then you're connecting with other people. And so we're not as isolating in that way either. I'm curious how you became interested in this and like where your information came from and how you know so many things.
Yeah. So I, th- um, I like I'm a doula, and at the core of so much of what I do is like think about like I just like can't help myself. I like think of everything through a lens of doula work and like birth work. And I don't remember exactly like what I was doing, probably just like on a walk or something. And I had this thought of like mushrooms as a doula for
Mm.
us, of like this like deep presence and this like deep teaching. Um and yeah, and so I think it was just sort of this of needing a teacher and looking for a teacher and knowing that the kind of teacher we need is one that like can lead by example and have this like deep history and this deep rootedness and this like patience with us. And I think, you know, the species that is like the first to show up after a oil spill or like the only decomposer of so many like toxic things on the planet is a great teacher as we
Mhm.
figure out how to like digest and alchemize the toxicity of like the way that we are living and treating each other and treating the planet. And so, yeah, I think it just like really came from a place of doula and a place of walking
I
in the
love
woods.
that.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful because mushrooms, what I do know about them and learning about them is like they really are so ancient and go all the way back thousands and thousands of years. It is this ancestral energy too in
Mhm.
that way. And they come to help with death and decay. And when we think about that in our current world and, a lot of these old systems collapsing that aren't working anymore as we're working through that, like how do we alchemize and transmute the energy? And even though there is a death, there's always a rebirth. And the
Yeah.
mushrooms do come to help with the cleanup of that and utilizing it and turning it into nutrients also. So I really love that concept a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And something I learned in the process of researching the book is that like life on earth was made possible by mushrooms because like when we were in like swamp algae form before we like came to the land, like mushrooms created that bridge to like turn that into like
Mm,
what became plants and then animals. So it's like they were again like sort of like the doula of bridging the two worlds. And something else you
beautiful.
said made me think about something that I think is really important is the idea of like composting, right? And like composting isn't
Mhm.
possible without mushrooms, but like we can take all of the energy and like lessons and like all of these things from these systems we built that don't work and compost them and like reuse that energy and reuse all of
Mhm.
the things we've learned that do work and don't work. And so it's like nothing goes to waste, it just becomes like a part of
Yeah.
this cycle of like what we can reuse and figure out like how to tend to each other and the planet.
So
I'm
beautiful.
mind blown
I keep
already.
thinking too while you're talking, like, I really feel like a lot of this was also just super channeled through you with your guides and your own connection to your ancestors. Like, and yeah, like just hearing you talk, like it is so channeled through you that this is so embodied in your energy. And I love that to look at it through the lens of doula is beautiful because that's what we need. We
Mhm.
need doula energy ushering us into what's next, what's coming, especially through what's happening right now.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
What is your favorite mushroom and why?
Ooh, such a good question. I mean, I like some of the really gnarly ones that like, cause some of them just have such intense name, like dead man's fingers and like witch's butter and things like that, and it's just like, all right. But it's, it's like interesting, like for so long, and I think still like mushrooms can kind of freak people out, and for so long
Right.
they were like this, like a part of. There's just like a lot of lore around them.
Mhm.
And but honestly, like the thing that came to mind in true honesty when you asked that question was lion's mane.
Mhm.
Mm.
Because I like to like shred it and put barbecue sauce on it and make um
Yum.
like a pulled pork, but it's
Mhm.
mushroom.
Great use of that. So
Yeah,
yummy.
yeah,
That
so
sounds
good.
great. I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
I know. I'm gonna eat after this. So, for someone that doesn't like mushrooms or thinks they don't like mushrooms or don't have any connection to that, like what are, I guess, different ways to incorporate them into your life to like help you spiritually or with your health or any other way?
Yeah, I mean, you can learn from them without ever having to like truly interact. So if it's like a if they like weird you out in texture or anything like that, like there's so many ways to learn from just like the ways that they, like support the forest floor and like connect trees to each other and help them to communicate and
Mhm.
some of the other things we talked about like the decomposing and all of that. And so it's like you can like kick it with mushrooms without having to like go into the forest and like kick it with mushrooms if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Um, and so and, like, I don't there's a lot of, I learned a bit about like, some mushrooms are said to be supportive of certain health issues and things like that, and supportive health in some ways. And, there's obviously, a really big field now of relearning, like, a lot of wisdom that was around for a long time and then was, erased and is now reemerging of, like, the medicine within like psilocybin
Mhm.
and like so if you don't want to eat mushrooms for dinner, like you could, plan a fun trip with your friends in like a nearby stream. And so that's another way of like this. I think that something that I like one of my favorite chapters of the book to write and something I think about a lot is the like there's this like mystery and room for magic with mushrooms, like because of all of this lore and because of um there's like I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like and I don't necessarily stand by this, but it's interesting to think about. Called the stoned ape hypothesis, which is the idea that like
Mm.
our ancestors of like before we evolved into being human, so like way, way back ancestors were like eating mushrooms with psilocybin in them. And like that brought certain parts of their brain online in a way that like made us ultimately human. So this idea that like
Cool.
psychedelics made us human, which is just interesting. So I think that there's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like 1950s salesman saying this. I think there's something for everyone in mushrooms. Like there's just
Mhm.
like you don't again like you don't have to want to like eat them. You don't have to like think they're cool to look at, but you can. There's things to learn from them because they just are such a like
Mhm.
fascinating like relative of ours.
How are they related to humans? Like, what do you mean relative?
Well, like I come from a belief system that like every living being is related and we're all in
Okay.
like an interwoven web. And then also if we like, like all life came from one like I don't know if the word is bit in the like primordial stew. And so like in some way we did all descend from like one common ancestor that like
I love
became
that.
all plants, all fungi, all animals.
I think
Can
that makes sense, like, learning about mushrooms and how they are beneficial or herbs or all these different things that we can consume for, our benefit as medicine. I think that makes a lot of sense to me because it really is adding this bomb almost of energy or DNA or parts of us that, like, were lacking in that nutrient.
Mhm.
And to think of it in a way of like, because it's part of your innate system, that it would benefit you in that way because you are connected to it.
Mhm.
you said something about like the mushrooms and like the trees communicating. Can you elaborate
Mhm.
on that?
Yeah, so like tree root systems and like plant root systems on the forest floor, like they communicate with each other to warn about predators and to um to yeah, just like about and then they also like can send nutrients and support to each other through their root systems. And mushrooms are there to they like let's say extend the root systems to connect them to each other. Like there's a place where the root ends and the fungi begin, and they like build these webs, and like so they can yeah, they, like, create those, let's say, like, communication wires for the trees to then be able to communicate and send messages and nutrients to each other through the pathways that the mycelium create.
I feel like it's almost kind of like the Earth's nervous system
Yeah.
in a way, the mycelium.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
There's
it.
a what's that documentary that came out a few years ago about mushrooms and that guy who's been made real famous?
Oh, the
Do you
Michael
know what I'm talking
Pollan
about?
one?
It was on
Yeah.
Netflix.
I don't
There's
it might
like
be
how
called
to change
Fantastic
your
Fungi.
mind or oh
Yeah.
yes, fantastic fungi. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Mhm,
There's
I
also
saw
the
that.
other one. But yeah, they talk a lot about that. I was so fascinating watching that cuz we live in Southern Oregon, so
Mhm,
the Pacific Northwest is huge mushroom country for sure here
mhm,
in the United States. And yeah, watching that, there's just so much I learned about mushrooms and learning about the mycelium. I think about that so often about how it's just like below our feet all the time,
mhm.
sending all this information around and like how connected everything is through the
Yeah.
mycelium.
Yeah, and
It's
we
so cool.
inhale like, every breath we take, we inhale some spores of mushrooms because there's just fungi
Mm,
everywhere, like, there's no and, like, there's something that I learned that really, like, I don't know, really helped me was that only, like, 47% of our bodies are human cells, and the rest are, like, fungi and bacteria and, like,
so
other things,
cool. Yeah.
and so it's just this idea that, like, you don't like, I don't know, it just took a, like, big
We
load
are
off of responsi
mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly, to just be like, well and also, like, if things aren't going well, I'll be like, "Well, I'm only 47% human, so, like, what do you want from me?" Like
Right.
Right.
yeah,
I'm gonna use
I
that
love
one.
that. I'm
yeah,
operating at 100%.
right,
The
yeah,
47% of me.
yeah.
So fun. Were you doing it sounds like you were doing doula work before this, like, came online for you. How long have you been a doula? What
Mm,
got you into that?
I've been a doula for a really long time, and I often say, like, my grandmother put the, like, doula box on my doorstep, and I could have, like, tripped over it for my whole life or just been
Mm.
like, "Alright, cool, grandma, I'll open it." And so I
Oh, I
opened it,
love
and
that.
so I, formally have been a doula for maybe 7 years, but, like, was, doing some doula things
Yeah.
before, and then and so I, like, started out doing birth and death and loss and things like that, and then, over the years have, like, really expanded my practice to, like, be a doula for divorce and creative projects and
Oh,
career
wow.
changes and moves, and so it's like um, it's
Life
this
and death doula, all
yeah,
things.
I, like, call it, like, threshold alchemy, like, any threshold we're at because, like,
Yeah.
I am such a believer that, like and it's not even a belief, I guess it's just, like, facts that, like, life changes all the time, and, like, we are
Yeah.
conditioned to, like, either, like, sort of white knuckle through it or avoid it or, like, lean
Mm.
on other people's frameworks or, like, self-help industrial complex things to try to, like, framework our way through it.
Mhm.
And, and I just think there's like or I know there's like a better way of, like doula care through all of life changes can help it so we can like powerfully meet change as like individuals and community members and the wider collective as well.
What
Amazing.
does that look like, I guess? Like, what would be the difference of finding a doula to get you through something and then just hiring, like, some kinda coach?
Yeah, a lot of like I don't know everything that coaches do, but I think there's a lot of like frameworks and goal setting and things like that, which is can all be great and can depend on what you need.
Yeah.
But to me, doula care is and, like, the doula support part is, like, really mapping out, like, the tools you have, the resources you have, the things that already work for you, the practices that work for you, and the, like, things holding you back from change versus like what you need to move forward. And so like, sort of like in a birth doula role, I'll make like a birth map with people. Like in, let's say, a creative project, we can also make a threshold map of like, what do you need to get through this? Like, what do you need to call on your people for? What do you need to call on your ancestors for? What do you need to call on yourself for? And it's this reality of like when we meet change in this way and then continually over time strengthen that muscle, then we like become more, we like come home to ourselves in a certain way. And if you're like comfortable with change, then I can never say this word, but I say it all the time, ungovernable. Like you can't be tamed. Like,
Mm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That feels very powerful. Is there, like, any particular client that you've worked with that, like, really stands out to you in doula work, that you, like, think about regularly, when they show up to you versus when the work is done or when they've gone through the threshold and on the other side? Is there any fun stories?
Yeah. So many. I think what a lot of it comes down to is the like demystifying the change in some ways. I think of
Mhm.
one client who was like a long-term relationship had clearly come to an end, and they were like avoiding the actual change of it and the like making happen, and they really didn't want to get like a lawyer and arbitrate and all of that
Mm.
so they wanted to end in a way that like honored their love for each other and like the life they had together, and also that it had to end. And so we just spent a lot of time together like doing that resource mapping and that like taking stock of like traditional ways of knowing and like reconnecting with some of the practices that their ancestry had. Like we didn't share an ancestry, so like their ancestry had around change, because like our ancestors all held change and like threshold moments in like with deep reverence and care and like as a community
Mhm.
and some of that. And so then they were able to have this like really beautiful, honoring, and almost like ceremonial end to their relationship. And the alternative would have been like having lawyers. And when you have lawyers, you can't always talk to each other and it can become
Yeah.
like continually heightened. And so it just became this like
Yeah.
beautiful process that honored their need to change. And since then they've gone on to like they also had been putting off like this big creative project, and they launched that and then like went independent. So it was again that sort of muscle builds of like, oh, like I I know myself and I know change well. And so like I can meet it powerfully and like welcome it. And so yeah, they're really out there doing the thing.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Such a cool way to honor that energy and like a very unique way to help somebody through that. And it sounds so much better because that would be
Well,
so hard and
yeah. It's
challenging.
just crazy to me that you can spend like most of your life with someone and then you're like, okay, never talking to you again
Mhm.
because
Right.
we're over. Like that doesn't feel natural. It feels like really sad.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, what a great way
Yeah.
to use your support.
It's just this reminder, I think, doula care can be really this reminder of like that any threshold can be designed in any way. And there are these like ways that we're expected to like cross a threshold. And then there are these ways that we actually like really want to and like need to cross it. And so, like, how do we reconnect with that and do it? There's the authenticity in how we cross it, just like informs everything that comes back, because otherwise we can get stuck in that like messy middle part and never like
Yeah.
fully complete the change. And then we have all these incomplete cycles, and then we get the same lesson sent to us over and
Mm,
over. And then it just gets, you don't want to be in
wow.
that space for too long.
No,
We
that's
need you
so
as
real.
like the collective doula for America's undoing and threshold that we're in right now.
Y'all, I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, and I've
help.
even
Yeah,
recently
what would you
been
suggest for us, like, in this
yeah.
time? And also whatever you were about to say.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say there have been some organizations that I've worked with to like be a doula for them for like conferences and like organizational change and things like that. And so it's just interesting to watch like it be, a framework that can be trusted even in the corporate America of it all.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
wild.
Yeah. I think that like I don't have the full answer to like what America needs right now.
You don't? Oh no.
But I think a couple of things are really key. One is, and like I think is so important and overlooked and a part of every big change is the grief and, like, looking at the grief and,
Mm,
like, getting close and proximate with our grief and seeing it as, like, a portal and a creative entity
Mm,
and a companion that wants to teach us things, because I think that something that can get us stuck in that middle is that, like, avoidance of grief, but when we turn
yep.
toward it, like, it has so much that and it loves us, like, grief is if there's grief in our work, in our lives, it is pointing us to what we loved, and, like, that is a great
Mhm.
roadmap out, and so I think we have to spend time with the grief individually and collectively. And then something else I'll say is that I think it can be really tempting to like want to work toward change on a national scale. And the way we actually do that is like in our own communities
yeah.
and really like hyper local and just some, like if you wanna be at the magic of the birth of what's coming next, like, you also have to do the mundane things like each other's laundry and make a lot of soup, and,
Mhm.
like, most of the job is not going to be the, like, beautiful, magical arriving part, it's going to be the, like,
Mhm.
feeding each other, like, getting really good at repairing after conflict, like, getting really good at sitting with difference and not, getting all spun out when people use different words than you use for things, things like that, where it's just like
Yeah.
the deeply, deeply mundane work of a doula is also the deeply, deeply mundane work that we all need to do as a community.
Mhm.
And
Mm,
that community then, meets up with other communities and then we create this
yeah.
sort of the revolution of like quietly caring for each other.
We talk
Yeah.
about that all the time on here. Like, we can't control the bigger picture and greater outcome. But what we can do is show up in our communities and start where you are right now and check in on your neighbors and, the people around you. And like literally went over to Taylor's house the other day to work and we all like cleaned her house also, just like these little
Mhm.
things like tending to your loved ones, but also to other people like that
Mhm.
maybe you're not as close to because it branches out bigger than that. And it does create bigger ripples on the greater scale of things. And so if we're all participating in community and getting back to the village mentality, then
Yeah.
we can create those bigger changes. That's how
Yeah.
these things, become born into the world.
And
Yeah.
like not expecting community is fucking messy and not expecting everyone to be perfect and you
Mhm.
might be annoyed sometimes and you
Mhm.
might not want to do it cuz you're tired, but it's kind of you just have to show up, especially if you want people to show up for
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
And that relative might be annoying, but it's a part of the thing. Or your
Hmm.
neighbor might be annoying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
People are annoying sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think something good that has come from all of the grief is pushing us back together
Hmm.
in the end and
Yeah.
realizing that just because you've been told that you're super different by whatever algorithm you have or whatever news source or whatever is like you actually aren't that different and you have a lot more in common than you think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And and that like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like community is such a pain in the ass and there's like
Yes.
and it kind of should be because it's like the most important work we do in this life and it's been really popular recently for people to like say like everybody wants a village but nobody wants to be a villager and
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think that's true. I think it's that like everybody wants a village but they don't know how to be a villager and so it's just like reminding people
Yeah.
Yeah.
of the like that it's in our bones, it's in our DNA. It is the thing we are most conditioned to do. Our lives literally depend on
Mhm.
it. And so like, it's just like it's training yourself to think about it and to like look around and see what the needs are and make offers and like do so awkwardly and like learn your friends' kids' bedtime routine so you can put the kids to bed so they can do other things and like, there's just it's just like everything that you're doing for yourself is also things that people need done for them, and
Mhm.
so it's just a matter of relearning, and so it's not that people don't want it, it's that we've lost the way, but, like, the way back is really clear.
Mhm. I totally agree with that. I mean, like, and it's meant to be that way. Like, it was done on purpose to make us all super, I don't know the word, like hyper individualistic, because then you will spend more money in like this capitalist like machine. And so if you're not like borrowing your friggin' Vitamix from your neighbor, or you're not like, using something someone already has because you don't know those people, then you're just spending more money.
Mhm.
And so also, I mean, just this is like a side note that has not really that much to do with community, but kind of, but it's like there's already enough shit on planet Earth. Like, just go borrow something. I guarantee someone on your street has it. If you know your neighbor's names and you can ask and they
Mhm.
can borrow your thing, like, we don't need to be buying more stuff.
Mhm.
There's enough stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and, there's way enough stuff, and then, like yeah, and, like, it just is a matter of training yourself to ask and, like and allowing yourself to do that, and knowing that so often it sounds a bit cliche, but it's true, is that, people really do wanna help, they're just sort of waiting to be asked,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
Yeah.
allowing yourself to do that, like, when I work with pregnant people, who aren't accustomed to asking for what they need, I tell them to just start asking for, like, all the time. Like, if you go to a cafe and you want a cookie, ask for a free cookie. Like, just like start asking and getting maybe used to being told no, but just like start asking for everything, and also asking everybody if there's anything you can do for them, and and it's just a habit that forms, and then once you form that
Mhm.
habit, like, you've got those end of world skills on lock.
Yeah, I love that. I think we have been so conditioned out of, like, having our needs met and
Especially women.
asking for what we need that it's, like, so foreign and uncomfortable to the point that, like, we're not even most of the time consciously aware of what we need because it's just,
Yeah.
you know, been programmed out of us
You don't
too.
even ask yourself.
Exactly.
I know what I
Which is
need.
why
I
we
need to
need
sit in a hot tub.
doulas. Yeah.
I know,
Yes.
you're amazing. I mean, I had a doula for my birth, and I can't imagine any world without that support. And I
Mm.
hope that anyone listening to this will make sure that they find a way to have doula support in their births if they need it. And there are a lot of different doulas. I mean, we're really lucky in Oregon that if you're on Oregon Health Plan, like our free insurance, like it can cover a doula if you need
Mhm.
to. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that in the state of the society right now, people are willing to do trades and people are willing to like offer different things. And so doula work at any point is really important, but especially like transforming into motherhood and parenthood is like the most important thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am really grateful for the work you do. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. What you're saying is making me think too of, we get so conditioned to, like, fear change, and thus then want our life back, and we hear this in birth rhetoric all the time, like how she got her
Mhm.
body back or her schedule back or, like, whatever back,
Yeah.
and I think one of the um, key things about doula care, be it for birth or for like other life changes, is like, what if, there's no going back. Like, you like,
Yeah.
and
Right.
and like, how do we then like map out a future and a path towards a future that's like so delicious that you don't want to go back? Like, how can we
Yeah.
Mhm.
honor this moment in a way that has deep reverence for the fact that, like, in a few minutes, a matter of minutes, like, if you're a partnered person, like, you meet a new version of yourself, a person y'all made, and a new version of your partner. You don't go back from that, but, like, how do we build towards, like, what you want from that, and, like, honor the threshold in a way where it feels like, okay, and then we went forward and we, like, became these new versions
Mhm.
of self and family, and
Mhm.
again, like, if that applies to birth, it applies to all sorts of other changes as well.
Everything. Mm.
Oh, I'm crying. I think I like really struggled the first like year and a half because I was really trying to like go. I don't even know if it was like like consciously trying to go back to whoever I was before, but like struggling to figure out like what that was. And I think as soon as I accepted like, okay, you're just a different person and like
Mhm.
how do you embody that person, then I was able to kind of thrive. But it is something that people don't necessarily have much support with, and you are told to like, you know, go back to work, look a certain way,
Yeah.
show up in the world how you did before, and like that person doesn't exist. And as soon as I
Right.
kind of like let her die in a way and like honored her, like who I was before, I was able to thrive, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like when you're going through that, like you probably have heard something like that before, like knowing that you're going to be a different person, like it is that threshold going into motherhood. But when you're in it,
Yeah.
you have no idea like how to even figure it out
Yeah.
or
And you have to
surrender
like
to it.
meet her,
Yeah.
like this new version
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
you
Yeah, and you
that
become such a
didn't exist.
projection screen for everybody else in, like, society, and, like, that can be really like, everyone else's stuff comes up and gets projected onto people who are pregnant and newly parenting, and so it gets really
That's
hard to
true.
then find that next version because it's so your
Yeah.
field is so clouded with everybody else's nonsense.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
wants you to be who you were, and it's just you're
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Do you
or if
have
it yeah.
children?
No, I don't have children.
No. Do you want that?
Mm-mm. No.
No. You're just here to mother everyone else for
Love
us.
that.
Yeah,
We
I
need
like
that
I
too.
love it.
yeah, I have a, like, I think I belong in the, like, well-resourced auntie camp for this
Mhm.
lifetime, and I,
I
like,
love
raised
that.
my younger siblings, and also, like, I don't know, I think some of it is too, like, I am obsessed with my partner, and, like, she's truly just, like, a chunk of the sunshine, and
Aw.
if we had a baby, of course, it would be
Mhm.
our baby, but I think it's just different when it's, like, you're building a family as queer folks,
Yeah.
and there's just different considerations,
Right.
and, like, I am so incredibly pro queer family building, and, like, much of my
Mhm.
clientele are queer folks building families, and I am built into many of those families too,
Mhm.
and yeah, at this juncture, the part I play won't be that of giving birth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
I
sense to
love
me.
that.
Is
That's so
there
needed.
I know.
We need the aunties
Mhm.
big time.
So
Yeah.
we're coming up kind of like at an hour, and I'm wondering if there's like anything else that you think people really need to know and anything that's coming through for you for the collective.
Yeah, I really think we can do it, you know? And I think we are
Mhm.
doing it. And I like sometimes I feel like it's such a core belief that it didn't come from me, but at the same time, like looking around and saying that, I'm like, you sound, like that's a foolish thing to think. But I really I think that we have the tools and the wisdom and the desire to like live in a world that works for all of us. And I think I'm incredibly privileged to have connections to like my ancestral ceremonies and like be in a ceremonial community
Yeah.
and have that. And I think that the way that we are going to move into the next version of the world is through like connection to the land. And I think
Mhm.
that like it can be a really beautiful journey. And I've seen so many of my clients to go on the journey of like reconnecting with their ancestral connection to land and place. And it's not necessarily having to like return to a place where their ancestors came from, but just understanding those
Mhm.
like rhythms and cycles and ways of being and ways of
Yeah.
connecting. And, I think it just is like such a powerful thing to have that like the land as an ally in this and to recognize ourselves as like little chunks of the earth and
Mhm.
like the bodies we inhabit are land. And so I just think that and to the community is like a pain in the ass point too. Like, we're recommended to, like build bridges between across difference and things like that. And sometimes you're like too tired for that, but you can see like in another species, like some of the characteristics of the people really pissing you off. And it can be a little bit easier to like soften your heart towards a blue jay than towards someone who's always challenging at your like community forums. And so just like remembering that we have in addition to mushrooms, there are just so many species that we can like bridge to and connect to and bring the land along with us because like we belong. here, and we just have to, like, get back into that right relationship. But I think we can
Mhm.
do it. Like, I really do.
I think it's just the unknown that's scary and, like, the
Always.
lack of control on a bigger scale, and it's really just, like, focusing on what you can control and what you can contribute to.
Mhm.
Also, you just saying, like, that last little blurb did more for me than, like, 3 sessions of therapy with this girl that just fucking stared at me the whole time. Like, I feel like I'm gonna go call my dad after this.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really I like the blue jay thing sticking out to me. Like, I really love thinking about that and seeing just the world around us and nature and what is occurring and how it's interacting with each other and how we can soften as
Mhm.
humans,
Mhm.
in that way. That's big.
Yeah.
Those blue jays get real annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
So, do
Yeah.
you offer your doula work, online, like, if someone wanted to work with you?
Yeah, I have a program called Threshold Alchemy. It's like a small group program that has like rolling admission, so folks can reach out if they want to learn more about that. And
Is that on your website? What's that?
What
MadisonMurphyBarney.com.
amazing. Do you have any other offerings or magic or other beautiful things that you've created in this lifetime that you'd wanted to share about?
Well, the book, it's currently available for pre-order. And that'll be the
Yay,
first
when
thing that
does it come out?
comes out August 3rd.
Yay.
Will the audiobook drop at the same time?
Yeah, I think so.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And
I
so
will be indulging in that.
So that's exciting. And then I do like other organizational work with story driven strategy and like connecting organizations to the communities they're responsible for serving and through storytelling and things like that.
Mm,
And so that's like my less witchy side. But I did recently, I was like, there are these different pillars of my work, but like I want people to know that the same person is doing both. And so I wrote some
yeah.
pieces about like why you should hire the doula to do your strategy work because like we can like hold the unknown and like aren't trying to come up with like false answers and know how to like deeply listen to community and facilitate change. And so it's like different work, but
I love
ultimately
that.
it's all birth work.
How are you feeling about your book coming out? Are you nervous? Are you
Ooh.
excited? Are you like, okay, being seen so much?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the process, but I wasn't until
No.
now. But it's
Take
like
us on that journey with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I, like wrote my proposal, which was like some things and some chapters, and then pitched it to agents. And then we like spent some time sprucing it up. And then I got the book deal the day after the election, which was such a vibe. And
Whoa.
then, yeah. And then wrote for, like had like 3 months to finish the book or 3.5, and then so that was, like, last March, and I haven't, like, really touched the book since, like, there was, like, a round of edits, but, like, all of that was done, I guess, by May, and so it's, like, been almost a year since I've, like, touched the book, and, like,
Wow.
PR is now kicking off, but it's just such a strange thing because it's, like, I'm excited to be back in a place of, like, talking about it and
Mhm.
visiting it, but it was, like, such a long absence since the last time that I was able to, like, interact with it, if you will.
This
Yeah,
is like a birth for you. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
truly, like, you've
It's
been in
like
this
I
whole planning, pregnancy
Yeah,
energy of creating this.
yeah. And
What
it's,
will it
like,
look
also somehow
like?
like I
What color
gave
eyes will
birth.
you have?
Yeah, right, and it's somehow like I gave birth and then the kid went away for a long time and now they're coming back.
Right,
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I
yeah.
finished a book the other day, and like the author's notes at the end were just like, I was a different person when I started this book, and then when I was in the middle of it, and now when you're reading it, and just how, like, I'm sure reading back to some of the things you wrote before, like a whole year's gone by, you've probably changed so
Mm,
much.
Yeah,
And so that's another like interesting point of writing a book.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, And it's like, what will it be like to look at it in 10 years or 20 years? Or
I know.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your next book gonna be?
The next
So
book will
wild.
be, yeah, I actually know and have started, and it's about this like expansive framing of doula work.
Yay!
Amazing.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
so great.
Oh,
Yeah.
what an honor to like pick your brain for an hour. You are so wise.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, I feel like there's so much to take from this.
Yeah, this is so beautiful.
Yeah, thank
I
you for
love
having
it.
me.
And I just feel so inspired. Like the sun is out. Like, let's go for a walk. The blooms are
Mhm.
coming in, and really
Mm.
just to take it all in. That's always when I think most people can relate, but that's like when you just feel so connected and whole and present, like when you
Mhm,
really are tuned into nature. Like this whole
mhm,
time I've been watching, there's some ravens that have been
mm,
out here very active, floating around and landing on the building across the street. And I just always love watching them when we're recording.
mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and my one of my reservations is Hoopa Valley, so not that far from y'all, and I've been there in spring, and it's, like, so psychedelic, that part of the world in spring.
Where
It
is that at?
is.
It's in Northern California, so a little bit south of y'all,
Okay.
but just a few hours.
Yeah, come visit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so pretty here. Well, we like to ask our guests two questions.
Mhm.
The first one is, what is something that you do for self-care that you just can't live without?
I am in Cape Town right now for a month, and like, I wake up and I go to and I, like, hike the mountain behind the place I'm staying, and then I go to the beach, and I guess like and then I, like, sign on for American work hours, like, around 3 p.m., and,
Mhm.
it's not feasible for me to live that way all of the time because, like, I have,
Mhm.
a home and a partner and clients who work on, not 11 p.m. time. I would
Yeah.
say for this month, and I guess actually, let me widen this. So for that month, it's like those 3 things and, like, working on that, and ultimately that, like, over of my life so much, and I leave it for a month a year, and spend time alone and, like, still work, but do, like, a lot of writing and just, like,
Mm,
it's such a necessary part to, like, I think of it as, like, this dragon within me that, like, has to, like, pack a bag and go for a bit, and, like, I feed the
mhm.
dragon, like, bite-sized meals at a month a time a year so that it doesn't, like, wake up and, like, set my whole life on fire, by not being fed, and so
I
I
love
like
that.
yeah. So it's, like, a big thing, but yeah, I take off for a month a year.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Wonderful.
I know. What a great reset.
And
yeah.
then if you could tell your younger self at any point one thing, what would it be?
Mm, I've got you.
Mm, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Doula.
Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna
I love it.
that one popped out, but I'm gonna pull one more too. And this one that popped out said, I allow stillness to heal and reveal,
Mm,
which is what you're
Mm.
doing right now. I shed habits that hinder my truth. I release and renew. I mean,
wow.
that feels
Those are
very
both
fitting.
for you, for
Mhm.
sure. So yummy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, what a beautiful time together. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and out of your alone time to be here with us and
Yeah.
share about your life and experiences and the beautiful wisdom. I'm sure so many people will feel inspired by you, and we can't wait to read your book when it
Yes.
comes out.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Amber has a little witchy boutique, so we'll
Yeah, we'll be
definitely need
carrying it.
to carry your book here.
Yeah, we
Oh,
definitely
thank you
will.
so much. Thank you. And thanks
Absolutely.
yeah, thanks for having me on, and, yeah, you're the first in my PR run through the end of summer, and so it just feels fun to kick it off
Woohoo!
with you both.
Oh, that's so
Yes, what an
exciting.
honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
total honor.
All
Where can
right.
people connect with you? And when your book comes out, where can people find it? Do you know?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Madison Murphy Barney, and my website is madisonmurphybarney.com. And we can connect that way. And then the book is available for pre-order now. So you can, if you go to my site, there will be a pop-up. And if you click out of the pop-up and scroll down, you can also, there'll be more buttons to order it on the homepage. But you can order it on bookshop.org and Barnes & Noble and Amazon for now. And if you just Google "Our Ancestors Want Us to Be Mushrooms" pre-order, then I think it'll bring you to any of those places.
Amazing. We can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, Madison, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you both. And thank you to all the listeners. I'm so grateful to be in conversation.
This episode has been produced by my husband, Curtis Burgess.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Waking Up the Witch.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to head over to the link in our bio on Instagram for all the ways to connect with both Amber and Taylor. And go to moonbeeswellness.com for all your self-care and witchy needs.
We love you. Bye.
Bye. Ow. Ow.